Hello, Throners. This is Ahype here, and I'm very happy to be here with In Deep Geek, my handsomest bro in the Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones community. Sorry, everyone else out there. You know, me and In Deep Geek have the bromance going, but really happy to have Robert here today, of course. And me and Robert were talking behind the scenes, and we wanted to do something really fun today. Relive the best moments from Game of Thrones season 1 through 7, and maybe give a prediction for what might be our favorite moment in the next season. So, Robert, what's going on, man? How's everything going?
It's going really well, Carl, and thank you. But I think that was just false modesty. We all know that you are the most ruggedly handsome man in this entire community. So I think you should just accept the plaudits for what they are. Guys, it's an honor to be here. I love Carl's channel, as you well know. If you don't know me, my name's Robert. My channel is In Deep Geek. I'm sure there's a link down there somewhere. Please do go check it out. But I'm really looking forward to this, Kyle. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, the fact that you said it and Gwendolyn Christie, it's because of the beard. That's why she's doing this. Just confirms that I am one of the handsomest bros in the Song of Ice and Fire community. And if you do want to check out Robert's channel, his links actually will be in the description of this video, the Twitter, and going to subscribe to his page. So, Robert, we're going to do a little Patreon section later on. We got some patrons. We kind of had some input from them. We're going to do that kind of in the middle of the stream. But should we just start off with season 1? I'm thinking that, you know, let's start off with a comedic moment. I'm going to say the best one in season 1 for me was Tyrion slapping Joffrey. That was one of my favorites. What was one of your funny moments early on in season 1, Robert?
Yeah, I did really love that. I think for me, anything with Tyrion and Bronn, when they get together first in the first couple of seasons, and it's just this, you can see, I mean, you talk about a romance, but they've got it really going on, and it's when they're there with Shay and in that tent at the beginning, and you can tell that she's just like completely outsmarting Tyrion, and he's not used to it, and Bronn is just sitting there lapping it all up and laughing, and it's just, people didn't do that to Tyrion, and he knew they didn't do that to Tyrion, but he appreciated it. He liked it. It just brought so much joy to my life, and Bronn's character as a whole, all the way through, love it.
We got some awesome people in the chat here too. Secrets of the Citadel is behaving herself for the most part. We got, of course, Brienne, J.R. Rowley, Tim F. Maura Lee, of course, dropped the donation. Me and Robert want to both personally thank Maura Lee for all of her support and everything she's done for both of our channels. She's not feeling the greatest right now, so we want to send positive vibes out to her, Robert.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. Maura, I know you're going to be watching. You're not watching live, but you're going to be watching later. And I just wanted to say, personally, thank you. You have been an incredible support to me, and I know to Kyle as well. And that means a lot to me because I love it when people support my friends. So thank you, and I hope you're feeling a lot better soon. Yeah,
so everybody in the chat, let's spam some heart and fire emojis if we can, because Maura Lee is not feeling the greatest. And she's a supporter of so many different channels in this community. She's really one of the Misas of this community with Carol Brown and some of the other amazing people like Karen Richmond. And I could go on and on and on. But yeah, Maura Lee, we hope that you feel better. And we also had a donation from Shadow Fox, Robert. Before we get into the chat here, I got to scroll all the way up because you guys are so hype. And Shadow Fox says, if you turn your head to the left and squint, it looks like I have given $49.99, just like Maura Lee. What is my favorite kill so far? Ooh. That's a real, Gemma mentioned Viserys in season 1. I think I'm probably going to go with that. I like the Crown of Gold, actually. That'd probably be my choice.
Yeah, well, you see, the problem I'm going to have, and you're going to have to pull me up on this one, is loads of my favorite moments are Tyrion moments. But I honestly think my favorite kill was when Tyrion killed Tywin. I think there was so much build up to that moment, so much emotion, and then he found Shay, and then he went in there, and you get Tywin, this fantastically great figure who's just sitting on the toilet, and then you've got Tyrion just taunting. You know that all he has to do is pull that finger back just a touch, and the crossbow bolts going thudding into him. It was just, it had everything, and yeah, you're no son of mine, and all. It was just like enigmatic last words.
Shit and gold, shit and gold. Tywin Lannister actually shits gold. Oh man, that was such a great moment. And Charles Dance is like, "You're really gonna do this to me when I'm on the privy?" And he's like, like pretty calm about it, like for a guy that's on the shitter and about to be killed with a crossbow. So Robert, that both had some comedy and some very serious. It's kind of a little bit of both categories actually. We got another donation. Wow, you guys are super hyped today. Tubbs 1971 says, for the watch, thank guys, all of my creators for dealing with all of my tinfoil. You guys, Rick. I'm assuming he says you guys rock. We'll keep it at that, because both of our names aren't Rick. Let's damn. So maybe we can kind of give another honorable mention, another good kill. I mean, Jon killing the White Walker, does that count? When he parried the initial the first White Walker's attack, and it went boom, and we had like the clash of the sword against the White Walker's blade, and then of course Jon sweeping through him and finishing. That's probably maybe my that's another good one. So something with Sandor. I know I haven't mentioned Sandor yet. That could certainly be mentioned. Robert?
I would just say that for me, the moment about that Jon and the White Walker was actually just before he killed him, when you get that moment when they're just like, you fear in the White Walker's eyes. This, hang on a moment, that's not supposed to happen. Your sword is not supposed to be able to block me. And that for me was the moment. But I would take that and I would raise it with Sam and the White Walker, because I think that was so much better, because all the way through he was quite this comedic figure. Nowadays we see him as quite the wise, the learned person, but early days he was the person getting beaten up. He was the person who didn't do the one job that Lord Mormont gave him, and he so all the way through he looked quite the loser, and then suddenly he did something that you thought was impossible to do. He might not have done intentionally, but that's what happened, and for me that was the turning point, because it made this unstoppable force of White Walkers suddenly appear. There's a chink in the armor there. There's
emotion, right? That was a moment with emotion. We thought, I mean, they've been they were human before. We know that, Robert. We at least know that about them, but to the point they've been dehumanized. I mean, they communicate through symbols. They aren't able to talk. So that moment was almost like he was saying something like, damn, okay, this guy has got me, and that was a cool way to have communication through his eyes. We have another donation. I'm going to get to that in a second. What I want to do is actually want to shout out the pre-gamers. This is actually where I'm staying here in Atlanta. There's some amazing content creators. They go to different conventions and they create different CMVs. They do video logs and whatnot. There's a link for their channel in the description of this video. And I want you guys we have 83 people here, 84 viewers. If you can all go subscribe to their channel, that would be awesome. We love to support other content creators, like we said, Robert. And they have some awesome content on their channel, and they love Game of Thrones. They go to Game of Thrones watch parties and stuff, and they're actually going to be coming on the channel for a podcast sometime very soon. So if you can go check them out, I have a follow button for Facebook and a subscribe link to their channel. So if you do want to go check that out, and me on this trip, I wouldn't have been able to continue this trip without the help of amazing people like this. So in the description of the video, easy to find the pre-gamers. Robert, we got another donation from Anime Lover. Favorite bro moment. We were actually talking about this before the stream. I'm like, Robert's my favorite bro moment. Actually, I'm going to go off kilter here. I really loved the one last season between Brienne and Sandor. It was kind of a bro moment, because they're like having their proud like daddy mom ordeal with Sansa about Arya. They were being very proud in that. It was kind of like a bro moment, like, oh, we're so proud of our little one, our little friend. So that was not really a bro moment. I'm cheating, but it kind of is though. So that's one of my favorites, Robert.
Yeah, I go with an actual bro moment with Jaime and Tyrion. They are actual bros, and every time they come together, whether it's like early on in sort of King's Landing, when Jaime's releasing him from the cells, or a bit later, you just get this. And I think they act it exceptionally well, is that they clearly love each other dearly, but at the same time they kind of wind each other up, and it's so much a brother thing. It works for me. That relationship works really well, is that that they would quite literally go to the wall for each other, but at the same time they don't always like each other, and I love that relationship they've got going on.
One awesome bro moment is actually Davos and Tormund when they're taking a walk, and he's like, that stupid grape water those southern twats drink. Would you like some sour goat's milk? He's like inviting him to have a parley, and he's like, happy shitting, because Davos is like, oh, I go for walks at night. I can't do a Davos voice, but that was another awesome bro moment. With some comedy, but
it might not be actually a bro moment, but one of my favorite scenes from last season, I wasn't a huge fan of last season, but one of my favorite scenes there was when you get the meeting of Jon and Daenerys for the first time, and you get Daenerys with this hugely long Missandei giving this hugely long titles, and then you get Davos saying, this is Jon Snow, and then there's like pause, and then Jon looks at him for a moment, and says, he's the king of the north, and it's just like the respect was there, and it was just like that was just Davos being Davos. I loved that he didn't feel that he needed the titles. That was all. Everyone knew who he was.
We got Aziz in the chat from History of Westeros. He says $5 for the hangover fund. I'm currently drinking Gatorade. We had some fun drinking whiskey here last night. So yeah, Robert. I talked to Robert this morning, and I was in bad shape. But Aziz, give us one of your favorite bro moments in the chat. Yeah. Also, I'm going to be stealing Aziz next week at his house, and we're going to again talk about season 8. I've twisted his arm enough to do that, so that's going to be awesome. So Aziz is going to give us a favorite bro moment in the chat. It's also Tiziana's birthday, I believe. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit to make sure I'm not shouting out the wrong birthday here. Is it Tiziana's birthday today?
It's definitely somebody's birthday.
Oh, it's not Tiziana's birthday. It's George. Is it George R. R. Martin's birthday today? Is it really?
Oh, yes, it is.
Damn, George R. R. Martin. Let's all cheers to that. George R. R. Martin, happy birthday to you, and thank you so much for creating this amazing series that allows us to geek out and meet new friends and express ourselves in all sorts of different ways. Cheers, everyone in the chat. I think everyone has to do this one. Like I said, this is Gatorade. I'm being responsible. Oh, Robert's actually drinking. Wow, you're so rude for doing that, Robert.
I'm just trolling you, mate.
Wow, I can't believe you right now. So rude to the Canadian dude. Did Aziz give us one? I fucking love Cooper and Darnell. I don't know. Give us a bro moment from Game of Thrones there, Aziz. So Robert, let's do some. We got some awesome ones on Patreon. You want to start with a few of those, and then we can kind of do like half now, half later. Some awesome suggestions. Let's start with Karen Richmond. She said 2 of your top 3 are mine as well. And on Patreon, I said Tyrion saving Sansa from Joffrey was one of my favorite moments, where he's schooling Meryn Trant on basically what retribution would actually be. He's kind of schooling him on that. She said she didn't want to pick that one because I had picked that one, but she says Jon using Ghost to get Sam's bully to leave him alone. She loves Ghost. Also, when Ghost is protecting Jon's body, and Dany interviewing Tyrion and Meereen to determine whether she should kill him or not. Those are some of her favorite moments. You want to shout out some of your patrons? We'll get a Patreon going one right now, Robert.
Yeah, well, I was just going to shout out one of the favorite moments that I saw. That it was actually via Twitter, but Danielle Marston, great to see you. She had this whole fantastic list of great moments, and one that I'd completely forgotten about was way back in season 1 when Littlefinger comes up behind Ned, puts the knife to his throat, and says, "I told you not to trust me." And that, I think, was the moment that I started really hating Littlefinger. Love the character, love the plot, but really, really, really wanted him to get his comeuppance, and that was, I think, the moment I could forgive him all the being slightly seedy and all the rest of it, but it was the moment that he just he told Ned not to trust him, and then he says, "I told you not to," and that was just ooh, that was mean.
Aziz says Braun giving Dorne all like the fake names. He's like making up all the names. That was, what do you think about that one? Like that's a pretty good one. Another good Braun moment. What do you say, Robert?
Yeah, so Bronn, I know that the whole Dawn subplot in Game of Thrones got a whole lot of hate. I actually didn't mind it as long as I just thought, well, it's not the real Dawn. That's not actually what's really happening. This is just a vehicle for Bronn and Jaime to go off and just like have a few giggles for a season. So yeah, I loved it, and I also really liked the scene. And I don't think many people other than me did. I really like the scene when he's there in the cell, and then there were the sand snakes just over from him, and then there's the flirting and all the rest of it, and it was just like that just worked for me. I don't know, it tickled me. So
Robert, you're being a little aggressive. Are you sure it wasn't Miss Tyene Sand that was tickling you?
No, it was the that's very kind. It was indeed the wonderful Bronn. As delightful as she is, and as a wonderful actress as she is, it was indeed what was his name, Jerome Flynn, who I think has been excellent in it.
We have some other awesome bro moments in the chat. Gemma's kind of cheating right now. She says, Arya and Brienne fight, great bro moment. Yeah, that was awesome. When Arya basically takes on one of the best fighters in the realm. Dickon, Talamasca Dan says, Dickon and his dad. That was a hot bro moment. Yeah, okay. The memes are starting in chat. It was bound to happen at some point. Mama Ogre. Favorite, Ben Drescher, oysters, clams, and cockles is one of your favorite moments. That's an interesting one. When Arya's playing another role in Bravos. That's what not a lot of people are huge fans of the Bravos stuff, Robert, but she did have some very interesting scenes with obviously the Faceless Men and the waif, and that was a pretty interesting plot line.
Yeah, I liked the scenes when she was actually going through the training. That worked for me, I have to say. It was the stuff at the end. Pardon me, the stuff at the end that didn't work really well. But when she was she was there as being blind, and the waif was coming up to her with a quarterstaff and hitting and all that. I love that kind of stuff. It worked really well. It's a sort of shortcut of her training, and kind of foreshadowing of where it was going to go with that plot line. That actually worked quite well.
Oh yeah, there's Smokahontas has a funny one. She says the bad pussy one. Oh god, that was very, yeah. I don't know if it was good, but it was funny, I guess, because it's basically a meme in the show. Now people are going to start.
Great one, secret. So there's Gemma has come out with the Tyrion chair drag scene, which, if you can't remember, it was when he comes into the small council and he just takes the chair and he drags it all the way around to where he wants to be, and there's complete silence, and you just hear the chair being dragged along the floor. And everyone was just staring at him as he was making this small but important, pun intended, power play. Which yeah, I would agree, Gemma. I thought that was a fantastic scene.
Karen Richmond also says Davos explaining who Jon is at the first meeting between Jon and Dany. Daenerys has all the titles. He's like, Jon Snow, King of the North. And it's just like in comparison and in contrast to what Dany's long list of titles is. We can't forget about this one. This is probably my all-time favorite comedy scene in the show, is when Sandor obviously tells them that he's going to take 2 chickens, and then he drinks Polliver's beer, and then they proceed to have the fight at the end of the crossroads. You guys know I love me some Sandor. What's your favorite Sandor moment, Robert?
Oh, tough one. This is quite a niche moment, and it wasn't a funny moment, but it was, I think, the first time I thought of him as being more than just the bully boy. Was that moment when Sansa's there and she's thinking about pushing Joffrey off from the wall, and he sort of stops her and he gives her the
handkerchief, yeah,
the handkerchief, and he gives her a little warning about how he thinks that she should handle the situation. And it was just this crack into his character, that he's not just this person who would chase down Arya's friends and kill them in cold blood. He actually, there was something else to him that was more human and really quite relatable. He was trying to work his way through a very bad situation in the best way that he could. And that for me was the first time that I thought, oh, here's a character that's quite multi-layered.
He's like, yeah, you don't want to do that. Giving her some sound advice. We have another donation from Otilla Angel. She said she can't stay for the whole thing, but I wanted to show a bit of support. Thank you so much, Otilla. We really, really appreciate that. Rayanne, Oracle of Raylor, says Davos finding Gendry. Oh, I thought you'd still be rolling when he finds him in Flea Bottom making armor for the Lancers. And then Gendry's just like, he's like, yeah, I'm ready. It's just like, boom, snap. He's like, takes his hammer, starts packing his things, and gets the hell out of there. Let's do another Patreon here. John Saint Baptiste, is he here in the chat right now? I've been trying to keep up with everyone, but it is quite hard. John St. Baptiste says Tyrion's speech at his first trial. That's a great suggestion, John. The death of Meryn Trant, of course, is another one, and Catelyn getting killed. Oh, damn. That's shots fired against the Starks there, John. We have another donation real quick here, Robert, and it's Shadow Fox. We'll do a worst kill after Robert shouts out a couple patrons here. Robert?
Yeah, so I think most of mine are coming from Twitter, actually. So I had something that I agree with completely. Lewis Haynes was saying anything from the Battle of the Bastards, which I would agree completely. It was, I think, some of the finest TV I've seen. That whole segment, from the sort of the cinematic bit of like Jon standing there like this when all of the horses are coming towards him, to when they're in the circle and being squashed together. But my favorite moment in that was, it's quite easily skipped over, but just after all of the horses had come in and the battle had been joined, and you get just this ground level view of Jon Snow in the fight, and people are coming at him and he's whacking them, and he doesn't see someone else coming up behind him, but they get hit by something accidental. And it is just this complete summation of what George R.R. Martin thinks about war, is that it kills people just or for no reason. It's completely random who lives and who dies, and it's completely mindless. And I think that for me encapsulated a huge amount of what the books were trying to say in the show, and I thought it was excellently choreographed. I honestly got no idea how they managed to do that. It was a wonderful piece of TV.
One thing I am going to share, I uploaded a few videos from the Game of Thrones concert. I actually had my camera confiscated because you couldn't have camera with a lens. So I was only able to bring my phone, and I was hoping to get some really awesome shots with my camera for everyone, some video, but I wasn't able to. So I had to use my phone, and it was a little bit more difficult. But they played the Battle of the Bastards. They did most of the Battle of the Bastards score. It was like 10 minutes long, I think. And they did that at the Game of Thrones concert experience when we went on Monday in Houston, and it was just, and they were showing. There's a huge screen where they were showing like all the scenes, and they had them cut together in different ways, like edited really nicely. And yeah, I was like, damn, that kind of like not that I don't love Game of Thrones, but like reignited my passion for that, like those amazing scenes that we have in the story on the TV show. I'm like, wow. There's no other TV show that has this production level of like battles or intensity when it comes to something like of that scale. So Battle of the Bastards, I think we can all agree on that. One of the best scenes ever in Game of Thrones, Robert.
Yeah, I would agree. The other one that I want to throw out, which is one of my own personal favorites, is same sort of time when you get the opening of the Cersei preparing for when the Great Sept gets blown up. That the building tension, I think that scene was like 10-15 minutes long. The music was astonishing. The acting, they didn't have to say anything. You could just tell what was going on when the Mountain was there stopping Tommen going out, when Cersei was there going to stand and look to see what was going on, the moment when Marjorie realizes something is very, very wrong. Everything just added up, and it built and it built and it built. It was such an astonishingly great 10-15 minutes of TV.
Light of the Seven, is that the best piece musically in the show? I mean, I think it is for me. They played it the other night, and I was just blown away.
Yeah, I would say so. That or the theme tune, which, you know, all I have to do is say Game of Thrones theme tune, and it's already going around in your mind right now. And every time every time it comes on, you can't help but hum along. So I think that is that for me is astonishingly good. The way that it's just ingrained itself in all of our minds.
Shout out to Mandolin, who we met with, and we met with a couple people there. Actually got stopped 3 or 4 times by a few there that were at the concert. It was really nice to meet everyone at the concert that night. We got to party a little bit with Mandolin. It was Simon's birthday from Blaze Mango. So if you guys want to go show some love to Blaze, the Blaze Mango Simon just had his birthday, and that was really cool. To experience that with some of you Throners there. We got some more people in the chat. PJ Ice and Fire. We have Amanda Duncan, Clarissa. We have Chris Mason, Neonor, Wesley, Amy True. Oh my goodness, there's Catherine Bassett as well. Helen, make Mordor great again. Wow. And we have another donation that we're just saving for a little bit there, Robert Shadow Fox. What was your worst kill? I hated how they killed Barris and Selmy. I'm actually gonna, that's probably the worst kill, actually, because I thought he was. I think he's going to die in the Battle of Marine, probably, but they could have stretched his character out longer on the show, I think.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It felt quite meaningless. I think that the Barristan Selmy was such a great hero, and I think they were going for the idea that this was quite meaningless, that this incredibly noble and gifted knight just died somewhere in a back alley. But the fact was that he wasn't as significant a character in the books as in the show as he was in the books. In the books, he's there. He's a running Marine, effectively. He is the person who was holding on to it while Dany's gone. So it was almost like how do we get rid of this character, because we now really want Tyrion and Varys to be running this city. That's how it felt. And I think as a result, they didn't give him a great heroic end. He wasn't saving anything. It was just like he got overrun by bad guys. And it was just, yeah, I'm not a big fan. The other one I would go with was Summer. I think it was just pointless. I didn't get it. Summer could have run ahead. It was just like, why would Summer do that? He just
jumped in there and died. Yeah. The Direwolves, Robert, like, you know, I think that all the Direwolves will be gone, and probably all the dragons will be gone. But you know, they could have stretched it out for like the Battle for Dawn, and like had him still around with Bran and whatnot. But I guess they wanted us. I mean, that made the Hold the Door even worse. The fact that Summer died as well with Hodor. And Hold the Door, another scene we'll talk about in just a bit. We have another donation. Kathy Stark, Battle of the Blackwater. Oh my goodness, Stannis Baratheon, like the first one out there on the beach, just being like getting in there. That's amazing, of course, one of the best moments. And the Battle of the Blackwater still stands as like a top 5 episode, right? So there's so many good episodes. Damn. We got more people in the chat. We got the Knight Who Smoked the Laughing Tree, Mr. Skillin, Sherry McLean, Christy of Oldstone, Mike Armentrout. Actually, Mike said when Jamie, this is from Patreon, he put his 3 suggestions on Patreon. I asked for 3. He said, number 1 was when Jamie pushed Bran out the window because it made me want to watch the show, and more episodes right after that. Anytime Tyrion slaps Joffrey, and when Dany has her dragons burn people, especially Krasnus in Astapor. And the cows in the Dushkaleen temple. And that was another great moment, a Dany moment. The second fire, Robert, symbolic as well.
It was, and I think it's one of the scenes on the show that I am very confident is going to happen. Similarly, if not exactly the same, in the books. I think that was an excellent moment. I just wanted to somebody, I can't remember, it scrolled through too quickly, said anytime a direwolf died, and it just took me back to what I thought was a wonderful scene back in season 1, episode 2 or 3, when Ned kills Lady, Sansa's direwolf. That whole scene there told us so much about all of the characters involved. It told us about Robert Baratheon, his approach to how to manage things. It told us about the cruelty of Cersei. The nobility of Ned. It told us about Sansa. It told us about how Arya was going to operate. It said so much, and you just knew once those characters are there, you could see how they would each operate within that context of them all, and you knew that was what was going to be happening when you got down to King's Landing. It was so strong and so powerful, and you thought, so Ned is going to do the noble thing, but that's going to hurt him because he knows he has to do it. So yeah, I thought that was a brilliantly put together scene.
I've told the story a few times, Robert. I don't know if I've told you, but how I actually got into Game of Thrones is I had a date. So Game of Thrones first came on. I hadn't watched it when it first came out, and then I had got stood up on a date, and I went home, and I'm like, what am I going to do with the rest of my night? And then I went and binged all 10 episodes of season 1 back to back to back to back. So I fell in love with Ned Stark and lost Ned Stark in the same day. I curled up into a ball after that and just slept for like a whole day. It was pretty awful. We have another donation from Niels, 50 Danish kroners. And my favorite scene is when Cersei sits on the Iron Throne with Tormund, and she's talking to him like, he's her little lion, and how she wants to protect her family and keep them safe and whatnot. Another revealing scene about Cersei. There's so many great suggestions. My goodness, like we can literally name like almost every scene. Like that's the thing about this. My screen is frozen. 1 sec. I gotta refresh this so I can see the chat. We also have Ann Clavano from Patreon. She says, John waiting for first line of soldiers in the Battle of the Bastards, like you said, Robert, that was amazing. He was ready to die. And the music, the score in that scene was amazing. The moment that Shireen realizes that she's going to be burned. Ooh. That was a swift kick in the nuts for sure. And then number 3 from Anne. Says the Night King reanimating the dead at Hardhome. Yeah, come at me, bro. What about that? Is that one of your, like, that's probably one of the most like moments where you're like, wow, when we do get the final season, it's really gonna go down. It's one of the kind of like first moments where we're like, damn, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It was I think it was the silence. I can't remember whether there was any music, but in my mind that moment is silent, and then John is just like there. He gets onto the boat and he stands, and there's not huge amounts of distance between the two of them, close enough that John and the Night King can lock eyes. And when he just like raises his arms like that, and they all get up, and you go, okay, so that's a power play. You're saying he could have waited. He could have waited for like 10 minutes for John to disappear. But he didn't have to. He was like, look, see what I can do. That's what's coming for you. It was just such a confident move. It was a real baller move, to be honest.
James says, I love the last episode of season 6, the Sign of the Seven. So cool. Just the cold open with the music, pure class, Light of the Seven. I agree. Art Girl says, best kill, Arya taking off her face after killing the Freys. And when she ushers in the line that that the wolves came for House Frey. Love that. Talamasca Dan says, Ben, you're dead inside. Ben says he's never cried at any scene in Game of Thrones. Damn, that is intense.
Well, so Tubbs 1971 has pointed out the glaring thing that we've missed, which got everybody talking at a time: the Red Wedding. How have we not mentioned the Red Wedding so far? That was it was such a strong scene, and again the build up to it, when you're just like, you see Cat looking around and you see why Ruth, are you wearing your male armor underneath here? What's going on with those drummers? Yeah, that guy, isn't that the guy from Coldplay? All of that kind of like thing that's like going on, and you realized at the same time as the characters what was happening, unless you'd read the books, obviously, but you could see them figuring it out, and the moment that they figured out, it was too late. And I remember when Dan and Dave, they did after the season, when they had the DVD, they were talking about how this was one of the moments that they talked about with George in the beginning, one of the ones that they were like, if we can get here and pull this off, then we can do all the seasons. And that was really, that's one of the 5 biggest moments in the whole series, when Robb and Catelyn die. And of course, we don't get the same thing with Lady Stoneheart. So that it was even more impactful that Catelyn doesn't come back as a vengeful zombie.
There's so many more suggestions in chat. I saw John Liebman, Mr. Skillen say when Melisandre's smoking those idols, that's an ominous sign. And then Salvador saying another funny one. He's just has a burnt sword. You know what I mean? And Cersei, I'm going to fuck her. I'm going to fuck Cersei. Demonetized, by the way, after that.
Yeah, that wasn't me. That was you. Amy True, I just want to say thank you for... there's always cleverer people, more knowledgeable people in the chat than there are talking here, which I think is great. Amy True is saying that with Hardhome, the music stops as the whites are being raised, and you just hear the sound of the wind and the water. Yeah, so my mind was remembering it right. It was just this moment between them. It was beautiful.
And talking back to the intensity of how the White Walkers communicate, they can't speak. So this moment is such an intense moment where he's communicating like, hey, like, look at my power. Like, he could say it out loud, like, hey, I'm going to crush you or something. But I mean, it's way better because he isn't able to speak and he is that powerful. J.R. Rowley has a donation. Thanks, J.R. He says, the moment Jon realized he fell for Ramsay's trap. Yeah, where they're all being pushed in like the shield wall, and Jon, and he falls down, he's grasping for air, he finally gets up. The symbolism of the Daenerys Misa being lifted, and then Jon, the life and the ice and fire, the life and death. Because Battle of the Bastards was full of death, obviously, and Misa, she's being lifted, and she's being praised as a savior, essentially. So those are two cool juxtapositions, Robert, that and filmed so amazingly. My goodness, those scenes are amazing.
Yeah, and a shout out to 1-1 as well. Somebody was in the chat pointed out 1-1. I love that. It was overshadowed for me by the rest of what was an excellent episode. But when he was just like tromp, tromp, tromp like that, and the arrows going into him, and then you saw Ramsay just like taking aim, it was quite tragic. And it was just, and we knew he was the last of the giants, and it was like, that's it. And yeah, he died in a heroic way, but this battle will have consequences.
And then Jon beating Ramsay, and then looking over at Sansa and realizing that Sansa should be the one to get the kill on Ramsay. That was like Jon. Yeah, everybody's saying that Sansa's gonna a lot of people are saying that Sansa's gonna somehow betray Jon again in season 8 or something. Jon has went to bat for her so many times. I can't see it. Just want to throw that out there, by the way, for you Sansa haters out there, because I know we have Talamaska Dan in the chat who's going to take offense to what I just said. So, oh damn, Robert, did you want to add to that? I saw you take your glasses off, and when you take them off, you become Batman of Game of Thrones. So.
No, I didn't. I just like it when I take them off. I think I look really clever. That's all.
Robert, we got another donation. My goodness, Karen Richmond. Favorite revelations. Jamie telling his story in the bath. So when I put my 3 on Patreon, I said Tyrion saving Sansa from Joffrey and Meryn Trant, Sandor and Arya at the end of the Crossroads, and I said Jamie telling Brienne the story of the Mad King. And that's actually my favorite chapter in all the books. When Jamie and Brienne are at Harrenhal. What about that scene, Robert? It's very revealing and gives us kind of insight into Jamie and how he's trying to shed the Kingslayer label, which is something that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I loved that scene. I think it was beautifully acted. I think it was beautifully written. It was a moment when he lost his hand. That was like who he was had gone. And so everything he thought he was about was gone. So he felt finally he could be open and honest, and he was somebody who perhaps could understand him. And you saw him in such a different light. It was wonderful. He was a bit of an arse to start with, and then suddenly you go, oh, he doesn't mind it. And actually, that's a barrier that he's put up because of the fact that people are calling him things completely unjustly. He was doing a hugely great thing, and yet people have labeled him a terrible person because of it. And yeah, of course, that's going to put the barriers up.
We have 2 more donations. My goodness. J.R. Rowley says, know the undoing of his sword belt facing the charge. So that's John, another John one. And Lord, he says, supporting my favorite YouTubers. This is Ahype, one of my favorite YouTubers on his travels. Thank you so much, Laura. Really, really appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Lauren's Corner.
Chat from Shadow Fox with favorite fight scene.
Did we miss that one? Oh, yeah, there's Shadow Fox again. Thank you so much, Shadow Fox. My goodness, making it rain in the chat today. Favorite fight scene? I like the Tower of Joy. Arthur Dane certainly. That was really cool. The dual wielding. I watched actually a documentary on a guy that broke that down and said that didn't happen a lot in the medieval ages, but obviously it's television and they can kind of do cool stuff like that. Best fight scene. I'm gonna let you go first, Robert. It's really hard to pick.
It is. I think I'll distinguish between battle and fight scenes. So I think there were some epic battles that we've already talked about them. The Battle of the Bastards or Blackwater. I thought those were excellent. In terms of fight scenes, I really loved the Bronn one right in season 1 when he's fighting there.
Sir Hugh, for
Tyrion, and it showed. The mood of everything changed. It showed us what Bronn was about at the time. Previously, he'd just been like this slightly snarky guy who was sort of like coming along for the ride. And then suddenly you realized that he was actually really clever and he understood his opponent and figured out how to beat him. And that, as well as being a great shower or revealer of his character, I thought the fight scene itself was fantastic because it showed 2 different fighting styles. And another one would have been the Mountain and the Red Viper. I think that also worked really well. I thought that was a fantastic scene between 2 different styles. I think when you get to similar styles, I find it a little bit dull. But again, when you get Arya and Brienne back in last season 7, that works really well because they had different ways of fighting. For me, that's what I love about in a fight scene is different approaches to fighting and just seeing how they work against each other.
Brienne and the Hound was something that wasn't in the books. That was like, wow, these 2 heavyweights are going at it. Certainly, that's a great suggestion, Tubbs. And thanks everyone in the chat. You guys are super hyped today. 116 people watching. If you are enjoying watching this video, of course, like the video. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. And also Robert, like I said, all the links to his stuff is in the description of this video. Awesome content creators should also consider supporting our channels on Patreon. If you like this kind of content, me and Robert both do extras. Of course, we make content for free, but we do always like to make sure that we're rewarding the people that are being so generous to us all the time, Robert. Geez. There's so many in the chat. I literally can't. I mean, Hound versus Barrack. The Hound hates fire. The Hound's been in a lot of really good fights. Actually, there's another suggestion that Mandolin said to Rayanne in the chat that she liked when Jaime saved Brienne, the Maiden Fair. I guess that's kind of a fight because Brienne was about to fight a bear. Robert, would you like to read some from the chat?
Yeah, there was another super chat actually from Oracle of Raylor, Arya's return home, which I agree. It was actually not so much the when she got there. What I loved was when you got this moment when she was on her horse and she stopped atop the hill and looked down and saw Winterfell, and it was, yeah, I've come home. And it was, when you think about it, it was a long journey because she left back in episode 2 or something of season 1, and she'd gone such a long journey and she had changed so much, and yet she was seeing something that she'd not seen since she was that young child we saw at the very beginning. I thought that was excellently done. I really enjoyed that.
The mirroring of the gate scene too. If you go back and watch season 1 when Arya is trying to get back into King's Landing, and then her trying to get back into no, I'm really Arya Stark. Like, let me tell you. That was cool how they the history repeating itself, the Ouroboros effect, the circular nature of A Song of Ice and Fire. Lucifer means Lightbringer says 2 beautiful podcasts for men in one day for you, Robert. Is that it? Oh, damn. LML's in the chat.
Never settle for 2, Kyle.
Oh, damn. Oh, here's an underrated one. Mr. Skellen said when Hodor killed Locke, like turns his head like completely backwards, and Hodor's, because that's one of the first times that Bran enters Hodor is like, and he just completely snaps his neck. Locke was the substitute for some of the characters that we didn't get in the books. So that was an interesting one. A lot of people didn't like his character at all.
Yeah, I just sorry, I should say LML's joke was because I'm live streaming. He's coming on my channel a little bit later today, so that's 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, he's obviously spotted. I came on here first. They are, as LML says, both of you are exceptionally beautiful men. I'm a very lucky guy.
LML, do you want to give us one favorite funny moment and maybe like a favorite serious moment in the show? We always love to hear other creators' opinions. PJ of Ice and Fire is trying to meme in the chat with another donation of $25. A share for you, Kyle. I'm not going to share that with everyone. How about that? That's pretty rude of you, PJ, to just come in the chat and troll me like this. Wow.
Yeah, she said it 4 times. He only said it 3. So could you say it another?
Ashara, I get. Wait, is it actually 4? Wow. Everybody pick on the Canadian. Come on. Us Canadians, start our maple syrup for us. We're trying to protect your maple syrup. Guys, just super rude to meme in the chat like this right now. Elmouse is going to think of a good one. We have a couple more on Patreon from you guys that I want to make sure that we're getting in here. Jormungand says, Jaqen giving Arya the Bravosi coin. We didn't talk about that and saying Valar Morghulis. That's another one. Learning the real meaning of Hodor. Hold the door. That was, I think that's, I cried a couple times in the show, but that was one that made me cry the most, I think, was Hodor. And sorry, I'm having an allergic reaction. I've been snuggling with the kitty and the dog that are currently here. Actually, here's what we'll do. We'll do a little bit of a, there's Chance. He's actually a 3-legged kitty. He's a rescue. He's pretty cute. And I've been waking up with him on my chest in the morning. He's like a little mini heater, but he likes to snuggle. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm sniffly right now. We have Michael Smith as well. He says, John patting Drogon on Dragonstone, the Field of Fire. Wow, we haven't mentioned that. I mean, wasn't that like a record amount of people that got set on fire in like any television show, Robert? I think it was, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think they had more people who were being set on fire there than had ever happened, which obviously takes quite an investment because, it takes a lot of training to be set on fire. LML has come back with his scene if you want to check that one out.
Yeah, Robert, how about you announce that one? Well, let's hear your sultry voice. Come on.
Well, having said that, I've now lost it again, but it was about Sansa, and that's very nice of you to say that. So there was a beautiful scene with Sansa in King's Landing in season 3, where she's crying and looking into a hand mirror, and it's just so awesomely emo. The whole episode was masterful. Yeah, I do remember that scene. Actually, it was one of those things that it didn't change the story huge amounts, but it just showed you quite what Sansa had been going through, and actually that there was something underneath that as well. That I know Sansa gets a lot of hate, but she went through so much bad stuff in those first few seasons, and I think it's quite easy to forget quite how bad that had been for somebody who was still a child. And yeah, to allow her to cry and just give her that human moment was beautiful.
There's always a balance of, different characters feeling different emotions as well. And Tyrion said that he would never hurt Sansa. Obviously, he didn't bed her, but him showing, obviously, in that moment, he was quite sad that, he didn't want Robb to get killed. He would prefer that things got taken care of and there's some sort of agreement where both sides can, have some sort of happiness. But obviously, this is Game of Thrones, and this is an incredibly dangerous place to live. And Westeros is at war. So in that moment, though, I think it's really sweet that we both got to see Sansa's pain and suffering, and also Tyrion's compassion. He is one of these people who understands what it really is to be compassionate and understanding of someone. So that's great suggestion, LML. You wanna shout out some more here in the chat, Robert? We got a few more. We're gonna go for another 10 minutes here. I can't keep Robert too long, and I got to start getting ready. We are going to be checking into our hotel this evening for Anime Weekend in Atlanta. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be doing some interviews. I'm dressing up as Star-Lord this weekend, so I'm gonna do some dance offs and stuff. You guys will be seeing some videos on Instagram, and I'll post them on Facebook and Twitter. It's gonna be some shenanigans going down. But Robert, we got some more in the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to do one that I don't think I've seen in the chat, but I thought it was wonderful, which was, as I said, you'll have to stop me saying Tyrion all the time, but Tyrion on trial, when he does that fantastic speech, it's just, it was a tour de force of acting. I think that was the height of Peter Dinklage inhabiting the character of Tyrion for me. He was absolutely remarkable, I thought.
So, my goodness, I'm trying to scroll up here. We got another donation. Swedish Cronin from Katrin. Thank you so much. Katrin being one of the patrons of the channel as well. We really appreciate you, Katrin. I'm trying to go up here and trying to get. It's so hard. I'm so sorry if I missed your suggestion or favorite scene, everyone. I'm trying to get me and Robert are trying to get to as many as possible, but you all are so friggin' hype in the chat. It's insane to continue. Be hard to keep on scrolling up. Oh, another worse death, Wanda. Trevel says Sir Roderick. Ooh, now Sir Roderick Castle when Theon beheaded him. What do you think about that as a worse death?
I think that's a pretty bad death. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to whoever it was who was ducking down behind you, trying desperately not to be on camera and failing miserably. Hi, whoever.
I didn't even notice, but thanks for pointing that out.
Fantastic video bombing going on there.
We got a doggo here. Oh, come here, Rigby. Hey, bud, come here. Oh, we got a close-up of the doggo. I know everyone. Oh, there he is. Oh, I got licked. Oh, dude, stop licking me. That was actually a mistake to introduce the doggo, everyone. He seems to be wanting to come on the stream.
We've got Lauren's Corner there. Hi there, Lauren. A fantastic little channel, which is growing very fast. I say little channel, it's growing very fast. I did an extended interview with her there a couple of weeks ago. And she asks about the most horrifying scene, Red Wedding or Shireen? What do you reckon?
Shireen. I mean, someone killing someone else and having a motive for it, like the Red Wedding politically. But Stannis, I mean, like this was like purely like it was desperation, and that's burning their own child alive in front of their armies. Like not a very smart move, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and it looks like the chat does as well. Although the Red Wedding's getting a few things coming through here. Yeah, I think that was. I mean, I don't think I'm alone in this. I didn't really emote with Robb Stark. I got him as a character, but I didn't love him as a character. Catelyn, yeah, I think we all both like and dislike her, perhaps in equal measure. So there wasn't deaths of characters that I was truly bought into. Shireen just seemed really nice, and there was absolutely no reason for her death. It was, and you could see the next season what it meant to Davos, and so that was just yeah, that was harsh. That really struck home.
We have Brienne on Patreon. She says season 7 episode 1 Arya as the late Walder Frey. Love that as well. And she says season 7 episode 4 when Arya arrives home. We talked about that earlier, but she also loves the House Stark moments. We have Tiziana who says from Patreon, Daenerys emerging from the consumed funeral pyre with the 3 baby dragons. That's one of the most iconic scenes in the series for sure. Arya traveling on the boat the Bravos when she's going on her new adventure, and Jon witnessing the Night King reanimating the dead at Hardhome. That's been one that's pretty popular in the chat today too. My goodness. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, like you said, Red Wedding had shock value, but like what happened to Shireen was truly terrible, and hearing her screams was like truly heartbreaking because she was a little kid being burned alive at the stake, right? And her holding Davos's toy and knowing that Davos was going to find out about it and be heartbroken. Ugh. It's another big one, Robert.
Yeah, and who was it? It wasn't Tubbs. Who was it? Oh yeah, Clarissa Thompson quoting the Davos scene when he confronts Melisandre when he knows what's going on. Is that she was kind and you killed her, and it was just like she was a little girl. And the emotion that Liam Cunningham put into that scene was astonishing. Really beautiful. That made me more emotional than the original killing of Shireen. I have to say, it was seeing the human impact on someone who actually cared about her.
We have, and I'm in total agreement, Robert. I couldn't have said it any better. Jean-Luc Picard is in the chat saying the Hound meeting Tormund. Yeah, that's the kind of the Avengers beyond the wall, the Magnificent Seven going beyond the wall in their little mission. Mance Raider was a bad death too, I think. Gemma is mentioning that in the chat, but also, John kind of mercy killing him, knowing that out of respect, you know what I mean? To not have him completely burned alive, he put an arrow in his heart, and then, in that moment, John kind of putting his foot down was interesting. Scott McCloy says Prince Rhaegar with Gilly. What about some Samwell moments? We haven't really talked about Samwell at all, Robert.
No, we haven't. And I actually think that I liked his scenes in the last season. I thought it worked really well. That it got a little bit of flack, but that kind of cut scene when you saw his daily life, when he was there with the cleaning out the toilets and the doling out the food and all the rest of it, it was just, I thought that worked really well for me. And it wasn't so much a moment as just this kind of building real life. Although actually, I will give you a moment connected to that. It was the moment, the end of the season before, when he arrives and he sees the library and he just stares, and he's just got this look on his face of like, wow, man.
Wonder, yeah.
It's just like this is you felt so much. Your heart was brimming over with love for the fact that he had finally reached this thing that he'd been wanting all this time.
Another scene that made my eyes tear up a little bit, and Mr. Scruffy looking nerf herder heart tugging scene. Herder heart tugging scene was the reunion between Jon and Sansa. After all they've been through, and they weren't even like really close growing up, but just the fact that they knew each other, that they're both alive, was so huge. And I was like, oh my, that was just like that was definitely a heart tugging scene, Robert.
Yeah, I agree. Is there really somebody with a username Scruffy looking nerf herder? That's fantastic. Well done. I did like the scene, and it was they didn't overplay it, was the thing that I liked. That it was, they both clearly had emotion, and it was about a homecoming for them. It was about finally we found somebody that we grew up with and we know and who understands us, because they'd both been alone from their family for so long. It was really good.
So I thought, Robert, we're not going to be able to get to every single suggestion today, but to end the stream, I thought it would be cool if we can kind of preemptively maybe pick a scene or two in season 8 that we think is going to happen and be some of our favorite scenes. So what I will do is I'm going to take a look back at the live chat today, and I'm going to do another podcast. I'm going to ask the pre-gamers if they'd be interested in talking about all their favorite moments, kind of having a roundtable discussion on some of the stuff that we didn't really talk about today, maybe. Robert, preemptively in chat, let us know yours in the chat as well. What do you think is going to be your 2 favorite scenes next season? I know it's going to be really hard to narrow it down, but let's get 2 from you, Robert.
Okay, so my 2 are 2 that I don't go into spoilers and everything like that, but there are 2 things that I think are pretty inevitable, and that when they happen, they're going to be pretty epic. The number one is when Jon and Daenerys come up to Winterfell, and then everyone goes, what? You've come with Targaryens, you've come with dragons, what on earth is going on? And then maybe somewhere in that mix he learns out that he's a Targaryen, maybe other people do, and that whole I'm sure they'll make a whole episode out of it. This is what on earth is going on here moment, and just everyone with all of the reunions going on. That's going to be astonishing. The second one, in terms of battle scenes, surely the Army of the Dead has to come to Winterfell, because that's where the people are holding up, and that is going to be epic. I cannot wait for that, because that Winterfell is Winterfell and King's Landing have been the two key places all the way through this, and so when the Army of the Dead come there, it's going to be a massive battle. It's going to be a siege, and we've got every type of battle going on there. We're going to have dragons flying overhead. We've got Dothraki. We've got Unsullied. We've got zombies. We've hopefully got Ghost. I mean, everything's going to be going on.
And Miguel Sapochnik is going to be directing that episode, episodes 3 and 5, which we are assuming are going to be the battles of Winterfell and King's Landing. There are people in the chat. Oh, damn. We got some more donations. Helen. Oh, my God. I'm not even announcing that. You're timed out right now. We got the Dragon Bowl. Very rude of you, Helen. Thanks for the donation, though. Really appreciate it. The Dragon Bowl, the Clegane Bowl, the Lannister Bowl. People are just putting like bowl after pretty much any battle that they think is going to go down. I'm really excited. I think the Dance of Dragons 2.0 is going to happen over King's Landing. And maybe what we saw in Daenerys' House of the Undying Vision in the show might be Drogon and Viserion going at it, if Viserion makes it that far with the Night King, the King's Landing. That would certainly be interesting. Clegane Bowl for me. I mean, Cersei has to die in order to get the Cersei. The Hound and Mr. Mountain have to go after it. But I think that there's actually going to be 3 people taking on the Mountain at once. I think it's going to be Arya, Brienne, and Sandor all taking on the Mountain at once. And it's going to be really interesting. And then Jaime's going to go deal with Cersei. So that'll be a huge one, because there's going to be more than just Sandor taking. Or it could just be Brienne and the Hound. I think that would be awesome if they teamed up with each other maybe. And then Arya and Jaime are trying to get through, like, maybe some Golden Company or something. And then obviously the battle for Winterfell, and 100% in agreement with you, Robert. Apparently that episode is going to be 90 minutes long or close to it.
Can I throw in another one, which it's going to be a character moment, but I think it's going to be great, and I hope they don't skip over it. It's the reunion of Sansa and Tyrion. Oh. And, I mean, so they have both moved and grown and changed. Sansa perhaps even more than Tyrion over since they separated. And remember, they got married, and she didn't particularly like Tyrion because she was still looking at face value and all the rest of it. And yet she suddenly has to now realize, there were worse husbands I've had. I think there has to be something going on there, that they have a moment of some kind. I don't know where that's going to lead, but I can't wait to see them again. Just am I still married to you? That kind of moment when they're just like coming back together. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's another good one. And I think that if Jon and Daenerys bite the dust, that Tyrion and Sansa would certainly make a great power couple too. Rebuild Westeros, and we've talked about this and what happens in the War of the Roses and whatnot as well. That it certainly could be heading that way. There's so many great suggestions. Oh my goodness, Arya and Gendry reunion. Oh my goodness, the big meteor thing at the end. Lucifer means light bringer. He's his mythical astronomy. He's hoping that the comet will return, perhaps, or meteors. There will be some sort of destruction. Of course,
you missed the super chat as well, Carl.
I did. Yes, it was James, and he said the Iron Throne will survive, and the kingdoms will be united like the UK. We are stronger together, like the 7 kingdoms. James from Wales. Yeah, I could certainly see the Iron Throne being melted down like the One True Ring was melted down in Lord of the Rings, because power corrupts, and it has a similar type of value that the One Ring had in Lord of the Rings, the Iron Throne. Let's shout out a few quick ones here, and thank you everyone so much today for all the generosity. Wow, there was like so many donations today. All of you are so awesome. Thank you so much for that. And of course, Robert, I think I speak for both of us. Thank you so much to everyone on Patreon for your great suggestions today. I kind of shouted out. I said, hey, what are your kind of top 3 favorite moments or scenes that you've really enjoyed in Game of Thrones? Amazing suggestions, not just from Patreon, but from the chat as well. But Robert, what's coming up next for you, man? What's going on?
Well, I've got two channels these days. I think most of you probably know my main channel, which is In Deep Geek. If you don't, please do go check it out. I'm currently working my way through what I think happened in Robert's Rebellion, Turning at Harrenhal, Tower of Joy, and all the rest of it. And I'm really enjoying doing that. It's going in some random directions, but I'm appreciating the opportunity to look afresh at all of that. So that's my main channel. My second channel, for those who don't know it, is called The Well Told Tale, and it's basically me just doing audio narrations of what I consider to be the greatest science fiction, fantasy, speculative fiction stories, novels of all time. We've just finished The War of the Worlds. I do them one a week, long form. We just finished The War of the Worlds, just starting Frankenstein, which I'm really enjoying. So, guys, if that appeals to you at all, then please do go check out The Well Told Tale.
Yes, and of course, like I said, the links to Robert's initial YouTube page, In Deep Geek, if you aren't subscribed. I don't know what you're doing if you're not subscribed, in the description of the video. Of course, follow Robert on Twitter. And of course, if you would love to continue to support amazing creators, certainly consider Robert on Patreon. Of course, consider me on Patreon as well. The support definitely means a lot. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. I know we didn't get to all of your awesome suggestions in the chat, but I'm going to take a look over again and do another live stream in the near future. Maybe me and Gemma can kind of take a stab at this sometime soon. Me and Gemma are going to take a week off the podcast this weekend. Gemma's going to refresh a little bit, and we're going to come back with you next week for a bigger episode. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for joining today. It's been really a blast just hanging out and chatting with Robert. It's been a while, Robert, since we've done one of these. And of course, we both got things going on, but I think that I speak for both of us in that we were really happy to hang out today and chat some of our favorite moments from Game of Thrones.
I couldn't agree more. I always love coming on your channel. You know that. So anytime you want me, just let me know.
And of course, there's other amazing content creators in the live chat right now. Gemma from Secrets of the Citadel. If you haven't gone, check her out. Go check her out. And Lucifer means Lightbringer as well. Anybody watching this later, thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. And Robert, maybe we can get an outro from you today. I
would love to, but first of all, the thing I didn't say, if you are watching this live and you want to watch some more live streams, then 6 p.m. Eastern time, my channel, I've got LML on, so you'll have a sort of a sequel. We're looking at Brandon and Rickard Stark, so that got my plug in already, but because I know you love it, I will just say hype and love everyone.
Hype and love everyone. Go check out Robert's stream tonight, or I'll have to eat every... No, I'm not going to do it. Hype and love everyone.